Lawson exposed Red Bull mistreatment in shocking way that forced his sudden demotion. Liam Lawson didn't just get dropped, he got played. When he finally broke into the main Red Bull seat in 2025, it should have been the moment his career took off. Instead, it turned into a 2-week ambush that nearly destroyed him. The kid from New Zealand, who'd clawed his way through the F1 ladder with grit and patience, was thrown into one of the most demanding cockpits on the grid with barely any preparation. Then, just as fast, he was tossed aside like a spare part. And the worst part? It looks like Red Bull knew exactly what they were doing. Let's rewind for a second. Lawson had already shown flashes of promise during his 11-race stint with the Racing Bulls, Red Bull's junior outfit, across 2023 and 2024. His results weren't mind-blowing, but they were steady. He wasn't making massive mistakes, and at times he even outpaced Yuki Tsunoda, who had been with the team much longer. But when Red Bull gave him the call-up to replace a struggling driver in 2025, it seemed more like a panic move than a carefully thought-out promotion. Lawson didn't even get a fighting chance. His first full-time race as a Red Bull driver came at the Australian Grand Prix, a chaotic, rain-soaked weekend that even seasoned drivers were struggling with. He qualified near the back and ended up crashing out. 2 weeks later in China, he qualified last and finished outside the points, and just like that, Red Bull replaced him. 2 races, that's all he got. Now, here's where things get shady. Lawson later revealed that in China, Red Bull had fitted his car with an extremely aggressive setup, not for performance, but for data collection. The goal was supposedly to help understand the car's erratic handling issues, something even Max Verstappen had been complaining about since the start of the season. Lawson agreed to go along with it, assuming it was part of a longer-term plan, but instead of treating it like a development opportunity, Red Bull judged his performance on that exact race and used it to justify booting him. That's not just unfair, it's surgical. And to put it bluntly, Red Bull never really set him up to succeed in the first place. According to Lawson, he came into 2025 with way less prep than other rookies. No private tests, barely any seat time, no real familiarity with the Red Bull car. Compare that to how other teams, like Mercedes, groom their young talent, and the contrast is almost comical. Red Bull just threw him in the deep end and expected magic. No wonder he sank. But here's where the story turns. After being swapped back to the Racing Bulls, Lawson started to bounce back. It wasn't instant, he had to rebuild his rhythm, but over time he started scoring points again. In fact, in the last 7 races, he scored 20 points, double what Yuki managed in the actual Red Bull. That's not a small stat. That's redemption. Even more telling, he's outperformed his Racing Bulls teammate Isaac Hadjar over that same stretch. So not only is he doing better than the guy who replaced him at Red Bull, he's also showing that he's got more potential than the next guy in line. That 2-race disaster wasn't a true reflection of his ability. It was the result of a team using him as a scapegoat. And if that wasn't already a brutal contrast, wait until you see how Mercedes has handled their rookie star this season. Andrea Kimi Antonelli's Formula One debut wasn't just a career milestone, it was a carefully orchestrated operation by Mercedes, one that speaks volumes about how the top teams treat their young drivers. Long before the season began, Mercedes had already made it clear that they were betting big on the young Italian. And when Lewis Hamilton shocked the paddock by announcing his move to Ferrari, that door swung wide open for Antonelli. But unlike the chaos Red Bull dumped onto Lawson, Mercedes approached Antonelli's entry with precision, patience, and full team backing. They didn't just throw him into a race seat and hope for the best. Antonelli had been groomed for this moment, with months of behind-the-scenes preparation. Private tests in older spec cars, endless simulator work, full immersion with the team's engineers and systems. Even before he ever turned a wheel in a competitive session, he understood what to expect. He was taught how the car reacts in different conditions, he knew how the team operated on a race weekend, and most importantly, he felt like he belonged, and boy did it show. Right out of the gate, Antonelli was impressive. 5 points finishes in his first 6 races isn't just good, it's exceptional for a rookie. He looked calm, calculated, and most of all, comfortable. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of a team going all in on their driver and setting him up to thrive. Then the mid-season upgrades happened and everything changed. Mercedes brought in a new package they believed would give them the edge. Instead, it killed the balance of the car. Suddenly, both Antonelli and George Russell were struggling. Russell, who had been fighting for podiums, started slipping into P5S and P6S. Antonelli, he fell out of the points entirely in 6 of the next 7 races. For any rookie, that kind of slump can mess with your head. But here's the difference. Mercedes didn't panic. They didn't make excuses or talk about replacing Antonelli. They didn't shift blame or throw him under the media bus. Instead, they put their arms around him, publicly and privately. They told him, "We've got you." According to Mercedes spokesperson Bradley Lord, the team made it clear the drop in performance was on them, not him. The car wasn't right, the balance was off. It wasn't just Antonelli who was affected, and they weren't about to punish a rookie for a team-widely issue. Even during that tough run, Antonelli still gave glimpses of the potential that Mercedes sees in him. He snatched a third-place podium in Canada, a weekend where everything just clicked. He also delivered an incredible 4th-place finish in the season opener in Australia on a day filled with rain and chaos, and in Miami's sprint race, he grabbed a pole position that turned a lot of heads. These weren't lucky flukes. They were signs of what Antonelli is capable of when given the right tools and support. What Mercedes understands, and what Red Bull often seems to forget, is that rookies are human. They're not plug-and-play machines. Confidence matters, rhythm matters, and nothing destroys a driver's belief in themselves faster than being punished for circumstances beyond their control. By supporting Antonelli through the highs and lows, Mercedes is building more than just a fast driver. They're building a future team leader, one who knows that the team has his back. In the cutthroat world of Formula One, that kind of belief might just be the rarest fuel of all. Red Bull's cutthroat philosophy has produced champions, but it's also left a trail of shattered confidence and stalled careers in its wake. The way they handled Liam Lawson is just another chapter in a much longer story. From Daniil Kvyat to Pierre Gasly to Alex Albon, the trend is impossible to ignore. Talented drivers tossed into the fire, given barely any time to adjust, and then ruthlessly replaced when the results didn't come fast enough. It's a cycle Red Bull seems addicted to, and Lawson is just the latest casualty. What makes Lawson's case so painful is how unnecessary the entire thing was. The Red Bull RB21 has been a difficult car from the start. Even Sergio Perez struggled massively in 2024, and Max Verstappen, while still winning races, openly admitted it wasn't close to the dominant machinery of the previous year. Expecting a rookie to hop in and deliver miracles with zero meaningful prep is absurd. But Red Bull operates with a sink-or-swim mentality, and when Lawson stumbled, they didn't reach for a life jacket, they reached for the eject button. That approach might work if you've got a pipeline of once-in-a-generation talents like Verstappen lined up every year, but when that isn't the case, it becomes a self-defeating cycle. Drivers lose confidence, reputations get damaged, and over time, you end up with fewer drivers willing to risk their careers in your system. Ironically, the more ruthless Red Bull becomes, the harder it gets to find the next superstar willing to gamble everything on their unstable ladder. Meanwhile, Lawson has quietly begun repairing the damage, scoring points consistently with the Racing Bulls and outshining both his direct teammate and the driver who replaced him at Red Bull. He's started building a case for why he deserves another shot. He's proving he isn't the nervous rookie they tried to paint him as. He's a calculated, focused racer who just needed the runway others get as standard. But whether or not Lawson gets that second chance depends on more than just lap times. It depends on whether Red Bull is willing to evolve, because what Mercedes is doing with Antonelli isn't just good PR. It's smart long-term planning. They're nurturing a driver who might one day lead their team into a new era. And more importantly, they're sending a message to every junior driver watching from the sidelines: come here and we'll take care of you. That message matters. Young drivers talk, they compare notes, And over time, the teams that are known for fostering careers rather than sabotaging them start to attract the most promising talent. It's not just about who has the fastest car, it's about who you trust with your future. Red Bull may still win races with Verstappen, but as their driver development program continues to show cracks, they risk becoming a place where talent goes to stall out. Lawson's story isn't over. He's too good, too resilient, and now too experienced to be counted out. But his experience stands as a warning sign for what happens when potential is treated like a disposable asset. Had Red Bull invested in his growth instead of using him as a patch job for a struggling season, they might have unlocked a long-term solution to their driver problem. Antonelli, on the other hand, is being sculpted into a cornerstone. Mercedes isn't just developing a driver, they're building loyalty, confidence, and trust. That's the kind of foundation that wins championships for years to come. In the end, it's not just about who crosses the finish line first, it's about who's still standing when the dust settles. And the way you treat your young talent, that decides everything.